Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We're here. We're here together on this very important day. It's good to see all of you. What a good-looking choir. Is that a good-looking group of people right there? That is a good-looking group of people right there, isn't it? It is. And I'm so happy to be here with you today. We have very limited announcements this morning. Lunch bunch today. For those of you who are new around here, lunch bunch is we will leave here and go out for lunch together. Lunch bunch is canceled for today because we're having an informational meeting. We're having our congregational meeting in 2 weeks, which is free for everyone to vote. Everyone who is a member can come vote at the congregational meeting. And what we do here is 2 weeks before, so that's today, we are going to have informational meetings, and the purpose of these informational meetings is to get to, so that you can think about how you want to vote before 2 Sundays from now. We're trying to limit the amount of discovery that we do at the congregational meeting and get that into this meeting here. So if you could come today, it'll be out here after the service today. If you are visiting us today, we welcome you. It's good to have you with us. If you are visiting us today, you are here on an auspicious day. This is a very important service to this congregation. If you are, we don't do this every week, is what I'm saying. If you are visiting, I would suggest to you that you come back 7 times, because Unitarian Universalist services change so much from week to week. So if you are visiting, we invite you to come back, and we love to have you in our presence here this morning. And if you'd like to know more about us, or if you'd like us to know more about you, there are yellow cards. They're obvious. Yep, there's a yellow card. Please feel free to fill in the yellow card, and you can put it in the collection bins in the front or the back of the church. And that's all we have. Oh, and if you are new, we offer new to Emerson sort of meetings on the last Sunday of the month. Because there's 5 Sundays this month, right. So the 4th Sunday this month, we will have a new... It's next week, that's right. Okay. Wow, 4th Sunday already. January just... We'll have a meeting for y'all, so you can come up and just ask questions. It's up in the library after. So, for the meeting, for the informational meeting today, as a outright, completely unveiled bribe, we have pizza. So if you stay and listen to the budget information and listen to the slate of volunteers who have agreed to help lead this church next year, we will reward you with pizza. So we welcome you here today. It is good to have you. It is good to be with you. And now I invite Artem to bring us in to the formal part of our service.
As we gather in community, we look within ourselves and to each other for strength, restoration, and inspiration, so that as we journey together, we catch the spark of the eternal Spirit, and from that spark, we light our chalice flame. Lighting the chalice flame symbolizes to all that the spirit of our congregation is strong and that our will to transform ourselves and the world is also strong. We light the flame with gratitude. We light the flame in memory of all who have gone before, in honor of all who are here now, and with joy for all who are yet to come. As Lori Hammonds lights our chalice flame here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us from home to light a candle or chalice of your own this morning. And for the month of January, our chalice lighting words are from Mary Oliver. Please join me in reading these words together as they appear on your screen. It is a serious thing just to be alive on this fresh morning in the broken world. I beg of you, do not walk by without pausing to attend to this rather ridiculous performance. As we work to create beloved community, we welcome all who would join us in building a better world with more love, more justice, and more peace. We welcome all who would join us in growing in mind, heart, and spirit. We welcome all who would join us in tearing down systems of oppression of all kinds. We welcome all who would join their purposes to ours in a loving spirit of right relationship. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whether you've walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whoever you are welcome here.
Thank you, Ken. This morning, my friends, we celebrate our turning service. Here at Emerson, we celebrate this service once per year, normally in January. In this service, we hold dear the events of the past year, losses and gains, joys and concerns. These turnings are the life of this congregation. They are the wind that fills its lungs. They are the blood that runs through its veins, and they are the marrow that fills its bones. It is in sharing them together here in this place that we bring them into this community. It is in sharing them here that we make them sacred and we make them holy, not only to us as individuals, but to us as a community. It is in sharing them that we make a beloved community here, where both we as people and our experiences are held and honored and celebrated. We welcome you today to our turning service. Each time we are gathered here together, we hear words from one of our 6 sources. Today, we hear the words from the Jewish Bible, the book of Ecclesiastes. This is a very popular passage that was made into a very popular song some years ago. I'm sure you will know the words. But I ask you to hear them now as part of our turning service. Hear them in a way maybe that you had not heard them before. For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. And now, with our chalices lit here and at home for folks joining us on YouTube, and with our hearts and our minds centered here in this room, we often celebrate just a little more by singing a hymn. If you would stand if you're comfortable, or you can remain seated, we just ask that you help us sing this song. Our opening hymn is number 347, Gather the Spirit. And now is the time in our service where we have a time for all ages, a telling of a story. And today, Ken and I are both going to tell the story. You have the parts labeled Ken.
I do.
And I have the parts labeled Ed.
Unless we want to trade.
We do not.
Okay. That's good.
Because that will mess me up.
I hope this is working.
This story is called The Falling of Freddie the Leaf. Have you heard this story? No. Oh, it's a popular story in your churches. It's a good story. Spring has passed, and so had summer.
Freddie the Leaf had grown large. His midsection was wide and strong. His 5 extensions were firm and pointed. He had first appeared in spring in a small sprout on a rather large branch near the top of a tall tree. Freddie was surrounded by hundreds of other leaves just like himself, or so it seemed. Soon he discovered that no 2 leaves were alike, even though they were on the same tree. Alfred was the leaf next to him. Ben was the leaf on his right side, and Claire was the lovely leaf overhead. They had all grown up together. They'd learned to dance in the spring breezes, bask lazily in the summer sun, and wash off the cooling rains.
But it was Daniel who was Freddie's best friend. He was the largest leaf on the limb and seemed to have been there before everyone else. It appeared to Freddie that Daniel was also the wisest amongst them. It was Daniel who told them that they were part of a tree. It was Daniel who explained that they were growing in a public park. And it was Daniel who told them that the tree had strong roots which are hidden below the ground. He explained that the birds who came to sit on their branches and sing morning songs, he explained about the sun, he explained about the moon, and he explained about the stars and the seasons.
Freddie loved being a leaf. He loved his branch, his light leafy friends, his place high in the sky, the wind that jostled him about, the sun rays that warmed him, the moon that covered him with soft white shadows. Summer had been especially nice. The long, hot days felt good, and the warm nights were peaceful and dreamy. There were many people in the park that summer. They often came and sat under Freddie's tree. Daniel told them that giving shade was part of his purpose.
What's a purpose? Freddie asked.
A reason for being, Daniel had answered. To make things more pleasant for others is a reason for being. To make shade for old people who come to escape the heat of their homes is a reason for being. To provide a cool place for children to come and play is a reason for being. To fan with our leaves the picnickers who come to eat on checkered tablecloths. These are all reasons for being.
Freddie especially liked the old people. They sat so quietly on the cool grass and they hardly ever moved. They talked in whispers. I didn't write the story. They talked in whispers of times past. The children were fun too, even though they sometimes tore holes in the bark of the tree and carved their names into it. Still, it was fun to watch them move so fast and to laugh so much. But Freddie's summer soon passed. It vanished on an October night. He had never felt so cold. All the leaves shivered with the cold. They were coated in a thin layer of white, which quickly melted and then left them dew-drenched and sparkling in the morning sun.
Again, it was Daniel who explained that they had experienced their first frost, the sign that it was fall and that winter would soon come. Almost at once, the whole tree, in fact, the whole park was transformed into a blaze of color. There was hardly a green leaf left. Alfred had turned a deep yellow. Ben had become a bright orange. Claire had become a blazing red. Daniel a deep purple. And Freddie was red and gold and blue. How beautiful they all looked. Freddie and his friends had made their tree a rainbow.
Why did we turn different colors? Freddie asked, when we're all on the same tree.
Each of us is different. We've had different experiences. We've faced the sun differently. We've cast shadow differently. Why should we not have different colors? Daniel said matter-of-factly. Daniel told Freddie that his wonderful season was called fall.
One day, a very strange thing happened. The same breezes that in the past had made them dance began to push and pull at their stems, almost as if they were angry. This caused some of the leaves to be torn from the branches and swept up in the wind and tossed about and dropped softly to the ground. All the leaves became frightened. What is happening? They asked each other.
It's what happens in the fall, Daniel told them. It's time for leaves to change their home. Some people call it to die.
Will we all die? Freddie asked.
Yes, Daniel answered. Everything dies. No matter how big or small, how weak or strong, we first do our job. We experience the sun and the moon, the wind and the rain. We learn to dance and to laugh and then to die.
I won't die, Freddie said with determination. Will you, Daniel?
Yes, Daniel answered, when it's my time.
And when is that?
No one knows for sure, Daniel responded.
Freddie noticed that the other leaves continued to fall. He thought it must be their time. He saw that some of the leaves lashed back into the wind before they fell. Others simply let go and dropped quietly. Soon the tree was almost bare. I'm afraid to die, Freddie told Daniel. I don't know what's down there.
We all fear what we don't know, Freddie. It's natural, Daniel reassured him. Yet you were not afraid when spring became summer. You were not afraid when summer became fall. There were natural changes. Why should you be afraid of the season of death?
Does the tree die too?
Someday. But there's something stronger than the tree. It's life. That lasts forever, and we're all part of life.
Where will we go when we die?
No one knows for sure. That's the great mystery.
Will we return in spring?
We may not, but life will.
Then what has been the reason for all of this? Freddie continued to question. Why were we here at all if we are only to fall and die?
Daniel answered in his matter-of-fact way. It's been about the sun and the moon. It's been about happy times together. It's been about the shade and the old people and the children. It's been about colors in the fall. It's been about seasons. Isn't that enough?
That afternoon, in the golden light of dusk, Daniel let go. He fell effortlessly. He seemed to smile peacefully as he fell.
Goodbye for now, Freddie, he said.
Then Freddie was alone, the only leaf left on his branch. The first snow fell the following morning. It was a soft, white snow. It was gentle, but it was cold. There was hardly any sun that day, and the day was very short. Freddie found himself losing his color, becoming brittle. It was constantly cold, and the snow weighed heavily upon him. At dawn, the wind came that took Freddie from his branch. It didn't hurt at all. He felt himself float quietly, gently, and softly downward. As he fell, he saw the whole tree for the first time, how strong and firm it was. He was sure that it would live for a long time, and he knew that he had been part of its life, and that made him proud.
Freddie landed on a clump of snow. It somehow felt soft and even warm. In his new position, he was more comfortable than he'd ever been. He closed his eyes and fell asleep. He did not know that spring would follow winter and that the snow would melt into water. He did not know that what appeared to be his useless dried self would join with the water and serve to make the tree stronger. Most of all, he did not know that there, asleep in the tree and the ground, were already plans for new leaves in the spring.
Our story is over, and that brings us to the beginning. And now I invite Ken to bring us into our offering.
Each week, Emerson collects an offering, like many other communities of faith, but our offering is not for our church, which is supported by the annual pledges of our members. We collect our Sunday offering to give to others because we know that giving is both a transformative spiritual act and an important way to live our lives. 75% of today's offering will go to our January Share the Plate recipient, the Audrey Gale Hall Memorial Justice Fund, which is part of the Texas UU Justice Ministry. In the time we shared with Audrey, she made a profound impact on the Emerson congregation. This fund supports scholarships and programs for racial justice, decarceration, and LGBTQIA+ rights and inclusion. Priority is given to the support of UU young adults doing justice work and trans and BIPOC organizers. The remaining 25% of today's offering will go to Interfaith Ministries Meals on Wheels, which provides thousands of meals every day to Houston's homebound seniors. And may I add, according to friends who work at Meals on Wheels, we're the largest single donor to that program. It's something we should be proud of, and we have been for years. You can go to our webpage for online giving, put cash or a check in our offering basket, or mail a check to the church. During the offering music, children who want to attend their RE class may follow the teacher there's Jill, may follow Jill Rose to their classrooms.
I had the chance, thanks to Ken McLeod, to review some old scripts from turning services in the past, because this is the first turning service I've ever done. So I didn't know what a turning service was. And I've read some of the scripts from Reverend Becky, and they were beautiful scripts. So I called her and I said, can I just use your words in this service? And she said, yes. So many of the words in this service are directly from Reverend Becky. And I thought that that was a nice way to bring her into this room with us here today. She says, birth and death are two great universals. Each of us is born, each of us dies. There's no escaping either. But while none of us was conscious participant in our birth, we are, as human beings, often acutely aware of our death. Awareness of the inevitability of death can either be a curse or a blessing. A curse if we allow death to circumscribe our living, and a blessing if we forge from that knowledge a greater appreciation of the time given to us here. How we regard the end of life can have a profound impact on our living. Do we regard our lives as precious, to be cherished moment for moment, because each particle of time will never be repeated? Can we regard our life as holy, worthy of honor, because we clearly understand how each life is unique, how we each and everyone else makes an immeasurable contribution to the web of life which sustains us all. In our modern era, with instant global news, we are often acutely aware of how fragile human life can be, how often human life is shortened by disaster and violence. The year that just passed had its share of natural and man-made disasters, claiming, ending some lives, and forever changing so many more. This community knows too well the effect of an angry earth. And then there are less understandable man-made disasters, the taking and irrevocable changing of lives for reasons that are often impossible to understand, much less explain. Here in this service, we honor those lives needlessly lost around the world. Violence is part of the human genome that just won't seem to go away. People in Myanmar, Gaza, Israel, the Maghreb in West Africa, the drug wars in Mexico, the Russian war on Ukraine, Ethiopia, and Sudan. There are too many to name, and there was not a continent except for Antarctica where lives were not lost this year due to man-made disaster of war. And then there are the lives that were here ended closer to home. To quote the popular song, everyone wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to go now. Much like how we entered this world, we can try our darndest to stay here, but in the end, we all reach the great universal. To quote Reverend Becky, in such a hope, let us recall in the stillness of this moment those who have died in the year past. Some died quietly, satisfied in their years. A great many died far too soon. Others, long after the moment they would have chosen for their ending. To all, we give thanks for the moments they shared with us in their journey through life. To all, we recommit ourselves to the task of healing, the affirmation of life. Now I will bring the chalice flame down to our candle here. Oh, sure, that'd be great. Together now, we light candles in honor of those who have died, and we stand in their light once more. If you were affected by the absence of any of these people, we would raise to honor your time while our service leader, Ken, lights a candle. If you would like to stand when we read the name of your loved one, you can do that. We mourn now with Stanley Lawrence Evans, who is the brother of Edna Kelly, who became an ancestor on January 1st, 2023 in Carlsbad, New Mexico. We honor Tom Roach, who became an ancestor in January after years of helping with the children's programs here at Emerson. We mourn with Jill Rose, who lost her friend Doris in December. Jill spent Tuesday afternoons with Doris for the past 4 years. Thank you. We mourn with Don Fullenwilder, who became an ancestor in April after years membership here at Emerson in the late 1980s and early 1990s. We mourn with Rob Little, whose mother, June Little Skaggs, died peacefully on December 19th at the age of 96. We mourn for Stephen Weiss, friend of Carolyn Truesdale, who became an ancestor this year. We mourn with Deborah Wartring, whose mother, Nancy Robertson, and her ex-husband, Lester Landis, both became ancestors in 2023. We mourn with Don Depew, father of Patty Bertuglia, who became an ancestor in July. We remember fondly Audrey Gale Hall, former membership coordinator here at Emerson, who became an ancestor last year. And we mourn with Dory Wolf and her family as they mark the passing this year of both Dory's father, John Meeker, and Dory's father-in-law and member of this church, Frederick Wolf. And now, Ken, can we light one more candle for all those who became ancestors this year, whose absences are felt in the hearts of Emerson and whose names were not mentioned here today. Returning now to the words, you may be seated. Thank you for your celebration. Returning to the words of Reverend Becky, in the presence of this religious community, we acknowledge all the many turnings in our lives. May we know that though our lives may turn in ways we may only dimly foresee or never desire, we are all connected to the circle and spirit of life, which through us and in us is also larger than us and binds us together as one. Okay, they're going to sing. Again, I continue here with the words of Reverend Becky. Between the two great eternities of birth and death, our lives spin out into the world, into the circle of life, turning and turning even as the seasons of the year advance by the turning of the earth. In the interim, between, there is so much to our living, so many occasions for joy and sorrow, for insight and learning, and for transformation. As we dance between the two poles of birth and death, there is so much required of us, and yet so much given to us. There are always tasks, rigorous and easy in life. There are always gardens that need to be planted, skills that need to be sown, the long, hard labor of tenacity, of grace, and of love. Our lives are always in the process of turning. Some turnings are the occasions for public acknowledgments and celebration, the traditional rites of passage, such as coming of age, graduation, marriage, and union ceremonies. For some of these turnings, there are no traditional rituals to mark their passing. For these precious moments of internal growth, a letting go of what can no longer be, an embracing of the new, moments difficult to name, but significant turnings nonetheless. In every turning of a person's life, there lies the potential for a new sense of oneself, for a creative transformation. We invite all of you now to contemplate the significant turnings in your life during the past year. There is no prescription for what qualifies as a significant turning. Only you yourself can know these events in which the potential for creative transformation lies. We also would light a candle here for these specific celebrations that have been brought to our attention. And if this is your celebration, feel free to stand and celebrate with us. Patty Bertuglia would like us to know that at last year's turning service, this was the first time she had ever come here, and she loved it, and she is now considering Emerson her spiritual home. We celebrate with our Minister Emerita, whose words we are hearing here today, Reverend Becky Edmiston Lang, who was married this summer. Marilyn and Fritz Rambo welcomed Evan Ichun Rambo, their fourth grandchild. Marilyn is joining us on Facebook or YouTube. Longtime past member Kay Kamas, now living in Austin. Her son Daniel and his wife Jen have a new daughter, Alice Scott Kamas, who was born December 8th, 2023. Judy Williams celebrates with her first granddaughter, who pledged to Judy's sorority at the University of Oklahoma this year. Judy Williams also celebrates moving into the same neighborhood with her son. Moving into the same neighborhood as her son. Boy, that one word makes a big difference, doesn't it? Yeah. We celebrate with Sophia Morsher, daughter of our musical director, Julia, who started kindergarten this year. We celebrate with our church administrator, Alejandro Gonzalez, who is expecting a baby girl in July of 2024. We celebrate with Bradley and April Smith, who welcomed their new fur baby, Misha, into their home in late 2023. We celebrate with Stephen and Nancy Lipp, who welcomed their granddaughter Rosie Josette Lipp on July 5th. Jill Rose celebrates her grandson's acceptance into his first choice university. And finally, we celebrate with Dory Wolf as she marks our member and her mother-in-law Lori's transition to a new home in New York to live near her eldest son's family. Amen. And Ken, we would also like to light one candle for all those joys, all those celebrations, and all those successes that have gone unspoken, unknown, and forgotten here today. In the presence of this religious community, we acknowledge all the many turnings in our lives. We know that though many of our lives turn in ways we may not dimly foresee or even may not desire, we are all connected to the circle of life, which, though in us, is also larger than us and binds us together as one. Amen. As we approach the end of this service today, I just want to reflect briefly with you for a moment, if I may, on what was going through my heart and my soul as they came in through the last month or so, as I read your emails, as I read the messages that you sent to me about these turnings. And I kept going back to the restating of the 7 principles. And as you remember, there were values and their virtues around and in the middle is love. And that's what I felt reading all of these joys and all of these concerns was love. My friends, we don't suffer for people we don't love. We don't. We don't celebrate with people we don't love. It is the love that drives these joys. It is the love that drives these concerns. And when they come into this room, they fill this room with love and turn it from a community to a beloved community. People often ask me, what's the difference between joining a church or joining the YMCA? The YMCA is not a beloved community. This is a beloved community because we share with each other here these things that are driven into our souls by love. So we welcome them here today. We celebrate even the painful ones because we know that that pain comes from a place of love. And without that, we would not be human. So that's what makes this turning service so special. And that's what makes each one of these lights, these flames of joy, these flames of loss, special. We hold them sacred here in this congregation with love and joy and remembrance and sorrow. And they are with us here. We respect them, we honor them, we hold them sacred because that's how we love. And now, as we approach the end of our service, I would invite you to sing with us one more time. I would invite you to sing with us in our teal hymnal this time, hymn number 1051. If you choose to stand, that would be great. If you choose to sit, that would be great. Just sing along with us. Number 1051, We Are, in our teal hymnal. I'd like to take a moment and thank the choir for their beautiful music today and how how it fits so beautifully into this service. Thank you very much for all your hard work. I would also like to take a moment and thank Jane Joseph, who brought our flowers this morning to make our table even that much prettier. Thank you, Jane. On this, the holiest of mornings here at Emerson, we are so blessed by your presence. We are blessed by the experience of life, love, and loss that you bring into the room with you each day. These experiences make you who you are, and you make us who we are. So these experiences are foundational to this beloved community. We honor them. We make them sacred by bringing them into the room and by speaking them into the universe. We are grateful for the inspiration this morning from Reverend Becky. Thank you very much. I thought her words were wonderful, and we are glad to have her with us here today, if only in her words. We are also grateful for your presence here this morning. For those of you who have joined us on YouTube, after our postlude, we will be ending our live feed. Please feel free to join us in our Zoom coffee room. The link will be available to you in the YouTube feed. And for those of you here in the room, please join us for the informational meetings on the congregational meeting, which is coming up in 2 weeks. We love your participation in the governance and direction of this congregation. So thank you all to online attendees. We look forward to hosting you again soon. And I invite Lori to come and extinguish our chalice. And as she does that, may I bless you with this benediction. May we, in the course of our week to come, be able to feel the liberating freedom of this religious path we share. May our gods welcome us. May they challenge us to live up to our own expectations of ourselves, wherever and whatever they may be, and may the world around us light up so that we may see our way back to clarity and wholeness. Amen.